My guest today is Tripp Advice. He's a men's dating coach, podcaster, and an author. Tripp and I delve into a wide array of topics, including my somewhat embarrassing dating inbox fails, Tripp's background as a shy, unsuccessful dater, if you should be lying about your height, his rock bottom moment in dating, the experience of approaching women while sober, the most important metric to focus on for dating success, why you shouldn't swipe right on as many women as possible, the highest impact dating profile optimisations, whether or not you should be upfront about already having kids, what effect the algorithm has on online dating, why you should always pay for the dating apps, my thoughts on girls who only post close-ups, why dating apps are fantastic for women, the biggest mistake guys make when asking for feedback on their profile, whether or not you should be posting videos on your dating profile, how to effectively split test, Tripp's top 4 openers, his advice to any women listening, and which 2 questions you should be asking yourself at the start of each day. Tripp is a huge name in the men's dating sphere. We managed to unpack a hell of a lot in this episode. Another one for the guys today, ladies, but judging on the feedback from the last episode, it seems you quite like being a fly on the wall in these manly conversations. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, just a quickie before we get into the conversation. The podcast is always going to be free, so I'm never going to ask you to pay for anything, but if you could do me the kindness of subscribing and maybe leaving a review, that would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Tripp, tell me what's brought you to where you are today and the work you do.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm a dating coach for men. I do specialize a little bit in the shy men arena, but work with all men of all ages who just need help with dating, getting out there. And I like to say I was one of my clients. I was a shy guy who just didn't know much about women or dating. This was in my early 20s. Now I'm in my late 30s, so that was quite a while ago, where I just really wanted to learn about women and attraction and learn how to get a girlfriend and actually get a girlfriend who I'm attracted to and who I like and who I respect. So I went through my own little journey back in 2008, where I was going out all the time, just learning how to socialize, meet women, get over my shyness. It was a very wild and crazy time. And I don't mean just because like I was partying. I just mean just for my own personal development. It was a crazy time going through so many challenges and learning and growing and building my confidence and self-esteem. I'll never forget it. And it just naturally led me to the place where I'm at now, where I'm helping guys. I never once thought, oh yeah, I want to start a coaching business and help guys and dating. I just fell in love with the process, and the information and human and social dynamics was so interesting to me. So I ended up starting a podcast with a buddy, and that was in 2009 that we did that. And that was, again, just for fun. Wasn't really planning on doing much with it or monetizing it or anything like that. And I just learned that I was pretty good at giving the advice because I saw results in my own life. So we started giving advice to guys. Then they started writing in, hey, Tripp, oh my God, I got a girlfriend. I built my confidence. And I was like, wow, I'm able to get guys results. This is so cool. So from that day forward, this is now around 2011, I started Tripp Advice, which is a coaching company for men and helping them with all the same issues that I had. Here we are today. So it's been a long journey, a fun one.
That's awesome. So you were 2008, so you'd be like in your early 20s, something like that then.
Yeah, about 23, 24.
Yeah, and like what, like I know you said you weren't very good with girls, but did you have like any girlfriends at school, or were you just kind of like one, like like what level of kind of like shyness and stuff were you?
Yeah, so I did get a girlfriend when I was 17 years old, and I really don't know how. What happened was she was kind of a shy girl herself, and we whatever dating is in high school, we called each other boyfriend, girlfriend, and then what happened was, true story, she got her braces off, and she became significantly more attractive. So then she got all this attention from other guys, and then she cheated on me, and
Oh
And then
man.
that was that. And I was like, oh my God. And that crushed me. And then following that, I ended up in like the worst friend zone situation ever when I was a senior in high school. So cringy. Even now looking back at it and talking about it makes me cringe, just how this, and I'm not trying to blame her. This was still all me because I stuck around, but it just kept on like she was like luring me in and giving me signs that maybe she would like me more than a friend, but then she didn't. And I would always confess my feelings for her, and she would say, I'm sorry, I only see you as a friend. Like that was like a pattern that went on for like a full year. Then I go to college, and I had some success with women. I was starting to break out of my shyness a little bit, not fully, but it wasn't with women that I was really interested in, and it was very few and far between. And then I moved from Illinois to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, it's 2007. You don't have dating apps, and it's a very spread out city geographically. And so it's and I didn't have a group of friends. I had like a couple of friends, so I wasn't in a social circle. So now my world of dating became exponentially harder. I still wasn't really understanding how to attract women. I was still shy around women. And it's like, how do you meet women? I mean, if I were to throw a guy in that situation now, no dating apps, not super confident in a city like that, which by the way, it's a hard city beyond the geographic situation. It's a lot of attractive people going for attractive people. So if you're not super wealthy or super attractive, you better have some really good riz, right? And it was at that point where I realized, okay, I have to learn how to do this and make it happen.
So how did you learn? Like, what was your process?
Yeah. So my first process was looking up on the internet like any other guy, and and seeing what was out there. And actually, let me rewind. That's not how it started. I had a friend who visited LA, and he goes, "Did you guys ever read the book or hear this book that came out called The Game?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" He goes, "It's about a bunch of pickup artists that go out in LA and meet women." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." So I read the book, and to this day, I think I've read the book like 3 times, and it's a very long book. And it's not a how-to book; it's just a story, but it's also has a little bit of how-to because it's the story of a guy who was also a shy, nerdy guy learning how to meet women, and he ended up learning from all these pickup artists how to meet women. So I go online, I end up searching more information on this. There's forums, there's all these different courses, and there is some aspects of coaching out there. And I just dived in head first. I was just learning all this stuff constantly. I was going to sleep so late every single night because I was watching videos and learning, and so obsessed with this material. But the problem was all I was doing was learning and watching and reading. I wasn't implementing because I was still too scared. So it almost was like this form of entertainment for me where it was like fun to
Mm,
watch this stuff and maybe dream about using it one day.
like mental masturbation.
It couldn't have said it better myself. Full on mental masturbation of this could be fun, but it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not really doing it. And so I finally tried to use some of this stuff and it didn't work. I was doing it wrong or whatever happened. I wasn't, I wasn't utilizing it correctly. It was also some of the stuff was really weird. It's like a lot of like lying, like just complete lying to women, telling stories that are not true that will make you more attractive to her. And I just did not connect with that. So now I'm at this very low point because with all that mental masturbation and all this thinking, okay, maybe I can go somewhere with this, nothing was happening. So then I was like, all right, I just have to start from the very beginning and see what happens. And the very beginning was I just need to go out and start talking to women. I need to go to bars. I need to go to clubs. I need to go out during the day. I need to go where there are a lot of women and just start conversations and see what happens. Because I've never really done that before. Yeah, maybe the odd hello when I was like really drunk in college. but I've never done it sober, like pure confidence. So I can keep going. The story, there's more if you want me to continue.
Yeah. Please
Okay.
do.
So I went out my first night. I went out alone, I believe. Yeah, I was alone. I went out alone and get all dressed up. I think I was out for maybe like 3 or 4 hours, and I couldn't speak a word to anybody, not even one word. And I mean, by the end, now we're just digging myself a hole. I'm just feeling even worse, right? It's like, oh man, now I'm actually implementing it and nothing is happening. And I felt like absolute shit. But I was like, I don't know, I got to try this again. So I think it was either like a week later, a couple days later, I go out again, this time with like a wingman who also was kind of at my level. So he wasn't like helping me really. We were both just very nervous. And again, 3 to 4 hours, nothing happened. So I had this moment. I guess it was maybe this revelation, I guess. And I said to myself, I think this is where you just give up, where this isn't for you. You're not doing it right. You're trying, but you're failing. And I think you just have to, hope for the best and see what happens in the future. And this isn't for you. And then I thought, that was my emotional brain. Then I got into my logical brain and a flip switched. And I said to myself, well, if I keep on trying and I fail, I'm still going to be at the same point that I'm going to be if I don't do anything. And there still are guys who are going out and trying to do this, and they are succeeding. So my best chance isn't really to give up. It's just to keep on doing this. So I kind of picked myself back up and said, all right, let's just keep going. Because what do I have to lose at this point? I'm at rock bottom with this. So the next day I went out, and I think it was literally like the next day, I went out and I ended up for another 3 hours. I ended up saying hello to one woman. So one woman. And that was, I mean, when you go from 0 to 1, it's kind of a big jump, right? Mm-hmm. So that gave me a little bit of confidence. Like, okay, I did better than yesterday, right? I mean, that's why when I tell like people who, join our coaching program and get help, like I really literally am. I think I'm worse off than like 80% of the guys who even come for coaching. They don't even have my story. Yeah, we work with some guys who are virgins and things like that, but no one had as bad of approach anxiety as me, not one person. So this now snowballed. And then it was like a week later, I went out, I said hello to a few more people, started making conversation. And I started to realize just through the act of pulling off the Band-Aid and just trying to talk to strangers that it really wasn't that bad. And I just kept learning that lesson. It kept on being not that bad. And then I finally felt a little bit more comfortable to approach women. And by the way, 100% sober, I'd be going out to clubs, like raging clubs in Los Angeles. The music is blasting. And I would literally just be going and getting a water and tipping the bartender and completely sober. And the act of doing it sober actually increased my confidence, because what ended up happening was I felt like I had a superpower, which is funny because I didn't do anything. It was a lack of doing something, which was drinking, but I felt like I had a superpower because you go to a club or a bar and everyone's kind of hammered. And by the end of the night, it's funny when you're sober and you go to a bar and you get there, let's say at like 10 or 11 and you're there for 3 hours, you can see the change in the crowd as hours go by. Like in 3 hours, people are not the same as they were a few hours ago. I mean, they're stumbling, they're drunk, whatever.
You really see what the prefrontal cortex does when it's not there. It starts to just go offline. Like everyone turns into fucking chimpanzees.
Yeah. To the point where you're like,
I
don't even want to talk to these girls. I kind of want to just go home now. Like these girls are too drunk. This is stupid,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, it was quite the adventure of just building confidence. And then, I wasn't just going to bars and clubs. I would go out during the day and do some day approaches and talk to women. And I really enjoyed that aspect. That was more fun because, they weren't drunk. And also women just, there's pros and cons to day approaches and night approaches. Day approaches, the pro is you look confident by default when you go up and say hello to a woman. Even if you're inside freaking out, they don't know that, and they just think that you're this super confident guy because you went over and said hello. You don't get that bonus point when you do it at a bar or club because it's kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
But the pro of going to a bar or club is you just have a lot of opportunity there, where during the day you might be walking around for 30 minutes and like there's no one to talk to. So I did both. I recommend guys do both. And yeah, again, this was all pre-swiping. I mean, Tinder didn't come out till 2012. It didn't even really get popular till maybe 2014 and beyond. And all this was happening in 2008, 2009 for myself.
Yeah, interesting. So, a few questions. So, first off, what did you, from reading like the game and that's it, like what did you take from that? Because I know obviously there was stuff that you weren't comfortable with. Was there anything that you've kind of like implemented into your style?
Not drinking actually was one of the things. I didn't
Is that
come
one
up
of the
with that.
things that's in the
Yeah,
book?
that's in the book they went out and they didn't drink. Most of them were people who didn't drink, do drugs, anything like that. So that was a big one. And
What's their reason for that? Just for being in control?
yeah, I mean, when you're drunk, you're sloppy.
Yeah.
And as much as it might give you this artificial confidence, it doesn't really do much for, your game, so to speak. It's
Mm,
like doing anything a little bit drunk or very drunk, you're not going to be as good at it as if you were sober.
yeah, I always think
And
like three pints in, I'm James Bond, and then like four, and I can't remember a fucking name.
it's interesting. So what I ended up learning is, because when I was doing it completely sober, and then I was like, well, now I know how to do this sober. Now I can enjoy a drink if I want to. This was some years later. And I went out and like, go to the bar and like have a drink or two. And even that, because I was so used to talking to women and flirting sober, doing it with even just a couple of pints, like you're saying,
Mm,
I could tell like, whoa, I'm not really as smooth as I could be if I was sober, because I learned it that way.
mm,
So drinking, even just a one drink, really did not help me. I was so much better. And I think that, yeah, your average guy is for sure. You have a couple of drinks and you feel a little bit smoother and you're a little more
mm.
confident and you don't have that fight or flight as much. But I would predict that if most men decided not to drink and learn this in a sober fashion, that they would see that even a couple of drinks might throw them off a little bit. I don't know. That's a theory. That's what happened to me.
I think it's like the that initial kind of just getting over the hump of approaching. Once you're over that, like it's probably a little bit. I don't drink. I used to drink a lot. That's why I don't drink now. And yeah, like I spoke to like a few girls at the weekend, and like the first one, I'm kind of like, if I've got my phone out or whatever, I can see my hands shaking just a little bit, and it's kind of like those little things. But like over time, it just seems to get better. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you like about your coaching and like where do you see like the online dating and like the IRL stuff and it interlinking? What's your sort of approach there?
Well, I'll say that it was some years later that I started to do the online dating, and I started to, because online dating is actually very hard and most people hate it. Your average person will tell you that they don't like it, man and woman. It's really hard. It's very superficial. But we did, when I say we, I have a team. We did figure out how to get better results, not better, like insane results with online dating. It took a while. It took a few years. I didn't start even teaching online dating until, I remember I was started Tripp Advice in 2011. I wasn't teaching online dating until maybe 2019 or even before the pandemic. That's when I really nailed down a system that really worked. We had to test things out and see what was what. But I tell guys, we do this in the coaching program. I tell them, so for any guy who's listening right now, you got to do all of it. every man needs volume. That is the secret. And it's not a secret because I shout it from the rooftops on all my social media podcasts. Guys just need more volume. And the way to get more volume is to do it all. So some guys are like, oh, I don't want to approach, it's creepy. Or some guys are like, I don't want to do online dating, it's superficial and I never get any matches. You got to do it all. And you want to do your best at all of it. Because the more opportunity you get and the more volume you get, it's going to be easier to meet more women. I don't think this was the case, Jason, 10 years ago, and especially 20, 30, 40 years ago. I don't think that guys needed that much volume. It's just the landscape has changed, and the way that we think about, well, everything, but even with dating, how we think about dating, how if it doesn't work out with someone or they have a little flaw, we'll find someone else. I'll find someone else. So we have this false sense of, there being another opportunity out there, which I know sounds surprising because I'm telling you, guys should get volume. So isn't that contradictory to what I'm saying? But the whole point is you need a lot of volume because you're dealing with a lot of that flakiness from women, and you need a lot of hits at bat. But I don't tell guys just to get volume. So when we're in our coaching program, we're getting them the best dating profile to get more matches, to get more dates. We're teaching them how to approach women during the night, during the day to get more volume. But then we're also teaching them how to filter for the right person. So depending on what you're looking for, whether it's like a casual hookup or you're looking for a girlfriend, it's just about filtering to see who's going to be a great fit for you. Obviously, sometimes you don't have the choice to filter. The girl has filtered you out. You get rejected. They don't like you. It doesn't work out, whatever. That's why we get more volume, so we can have more opportunities with women. So the ones that don't reject us and like us, we can see, do we like them? Are they good for us? Are they someone I want to be with? Do they pass my non-negotiables? Are they looking for the same type of relationship that I am? Do they want to have kids or not want to have kids? Are they in the right in the right mindset to be dating? Do they just get out of a breakup? Or where are they in the political spectrum? It's like all these little things that you might be wanting to think about that are important to you. So it's about volume and filtering. And we teach guys how to do that. And when you do that, you see a tremendous amount of success.
Interesting, because one of the sort of tropes that you hear banded around is don't filter, don't use filters. It's so interesting that your approach is kind of like the opposite. Is that spot? I suppose in like a marketing sense, it would be like knowing your target audience and kind of optimizing your profile for that type of person. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. I would. So actually, yes and no. Less of that. You want to filter later, not before.
Oh, right.
Yeah. You want to filter later. So you
Big
actually
funnel, and then get specific.
Yeah. It's funny because dating and persuasion and sales and marketing is all very, very similar. So
Yeah.
yes, if we look at it like a sales funnel, with dating and especially on the apps, you want to get as many opportunities as possible for matches, because only a few of those matches will actually turn into a response. Only a few of those responses will turn into a date. If you filter too hard in the beginning, you don't get on dates. So you want to get more dates. And then from there, you can filter, because then that's when you really get to know someone. I'm not saying that you should swipe yes, by the way, on every single woman. But what I am saying is you need a dating profile that's going to attract. What's that?
I said we do, though, us men.
I know.
Most lads can't help it. Yeah, she looks nice. She looks nice.
I mean, yeah. And that does happen. And listen, if you're leaning more to that side, that's probably better. If you're too picky on the dating apps as a man, you're not going anywhere. It's just not going to happen. So I would recommend that men open up a little bit more if they are like that. But most guys, like you said, are just kind of like, yeah, 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 yeah. But you want to be careful of doing that. I don't have actual evidence of this, but logically it makes sense. I've heard that if you do that too much,
The
then it hurts
algorithm.
the algorithm. Yeah,
I've
it's not
always
going to show
thought
you
that.
people.
Yeah. I by the way, yeah, no, I don't like when I used to drink, fucking hell. Like
Yeah.
I get to a point and it would just be mindless. So no, I don't like just totally swipe through. But I always thought that. I always thought like I wonder if because I'm a little bit techie, I was like, I wonder if it like the algorithm picks up and then like lowers your quality,
Yep.
like your score
I
is
think it does. I think it does. Again, I don't have proof of that. The dating apps keep all their stuff very secretive how they work it, but yeah,
seems like
I would just do
seems
that
like it
normally.
changes quite a lot as well. Like I remember the first time I was on Tinder was like I don't know 2015 or something. And then I had a longish relationship, and then I came back around 2021 or something, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I mean, I'd gotten older, obviously, but I was like, "This used to be easier," and it just like I really noticed the algorithm was just totally different. It was a bit like the old days if you had a business and you would post on Facebook and everyone would see it
Yep.
and then the algorithm changed, and then it was like, no, it doesn't matter. Like you've got to be paying for ads or
Yeah, I think that's another tip I would give to guys is you have to pay for the dating apps. Do not use the dating apps for free. Again, I don't have proof here, but I do have proof, but I can't say for
mm,
100% sure. I don't know people at Hinge or whatever, but I know that people who pay for the subscription, the high tiered subscriptions to these dating apps, all of a sudden their algorithm changes and they start getting better
mm.
matches. It happens all the time. And it should. They're providing you a service. They don't owe you anything. If anything, you owe them. They're giving you a valuable service that you can meet women. So just pay for it. And if you have a great profile, you'll be getting better matches.
Yeah, the whole like paying for the dating apps and the boosts or whatever, I do think it's fascinating because it's almost like by paying for it, it's like a proxy for like high status. Like I have resources to spend on boosts or whatever. So like it's almost like selecting out those guys and then they end up rising to the top just as an obvious consequence of that. But yeah, I feel like there's strategic ways to pay for them, right? Because like some things feel like you just I've done in the past where I'm like, wow, I'm just like throwing money down the drain, and then other things like maybe like the Hinge X.
Yeah.
Hinge X seems okay, like it's not
Yeah.
taking all your money. Um, whereas like Tinder boosts sometimes, like I don't know what your thoughts are, but can just
I
be
don't
like,
really subscribe too much to the boosts and stuff. I think it can help you.
yeah,
I I just want guys to pay for the app. So Tinder
mm,
Gold, I think it's called now. It changes so much. Tinder Gold, Hinge
got you.
X, whatever the next version of paying for the monthly thing is. And then if you want to do a boost every once in a while, go ahead and do that. But I don't think that's even necessary. Don't overthink that. Just buy the subscription. And guys, don't be cheap about it. It's like clearly dating and sex and relationships are a very important part of one's life. So why would you not invest in that? Yeah, it can
Mm,
add up. You're on 3 different apps and you're paying for all of it. I don't know. It could be 100, $200 a month, but isn't that worth it? This isn't like you're paying for some silly game or something like that, or something that's not going to be worth it. It's really an investment into your dating life. So I would hope that guys would be okay with paying for that and not rolling their eyes at it, because it's something that the tough part is because you can do it for free. And so it's a big jump for people to think, well, now I got to pay for it. It almost makes you feel like you're a loser, or you're losing, or you're not getting the good deal, when it's actually the opposite. You're going to win more if you invest that money.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And yeah, I'm like by far a fucking expert. I'm probably like one of the worst people at these apps, but in all my years of using them, at the moment, I've kind of landed on that same kind of approach. Like, stop doing the boosts and just be on like this, like I think the Tinder Platinum or something. Like,
Yeah, platinum. Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's
it's
Tinder
actually
Platinum.
like £15 a week, but sometimes I might just pay for it and then I'll turn it off, and then because I might not be on it all the time, I might just go on
Yeah.
it for a week, and then you get like quite a good service by just being on that one. All right, let's talk about should guys lie about their height?
On dating apps, yeah, they should. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
And
they should.
what's the maximum inch?
1 to 2,
Okay.
1 to 2. It depends. It's a little nuanced. I can't say straight out 1 to 2 for every guy, but if you're on the shorter end, which would be shorter than 5'6", absolutely add 2 inches. If you're 5'11", you're 6 feet. If you're
That's
5'10",
me.
you're 5'11", even maybe 6 feet. If you're
Yeah.
5'9", you can be 5'11". I'll tell you why I don't think that this is a big deal. For one, it puts you at an advantage, obviously. So we know that. Two, I haven't heard one argument that has thrown me into a new direction. But you're starting off with the lie. Look, what okay, yeah, so what? I mean, this isn't like life or death here. A person said they might be a little bit taller. Ooh, why is this a big deal? I would even throw it back. Is a woman that superficial that 1 or 2 inches is really going to make or break for the guy? How superficial, right? Also, one of my more fun arguments is, do you think that women actually really look like what they look like on those photos? How many filters are they using? How much makeup are they using? I'll tell you what, I'll tell every guy to put their actual height if every single woman doesn't put on a piece of makeup or a filter. And if we can all be on the same playing field, I'm game. I'm game to do that. But women get to use makeup, and that's not what they look like. In fact, it could be drastically different. At least you know what the guy looks like. And I'm not saying you should add 5 inches or even 3 inches, but an inch or two is going to change how many, like, the pros outweigh the cons. Yeah, okay, you know what might happen? You might be on a date, and maybe she's like, you're a lot shorter than I thought you were going to be. Oh, well, I don't know. So then she's not interested anymore, and then you missed out on some superficial woman. Okay, great. Or you can give yourself so much more I'm talking drastic opportunities, by the way, Jason. Like, I have people who have told me, like, that was the best tip you ever gave me. I changed my height from like 5'9" to 5'11", and it was night and day of how many matches I was getting. So you get more opportunities. And if you're like a really cool guy, if you like yourself, if you say to yourself, like, I like myself, I respect myself, then you should be thinking in a different headspace. You should be thinking, yeah, I'm going to change my height so I can give myself more opportunities, so I can give some of these women an opportunity to meet an amazing guy. That's how I want guys to be thinking of, like, yeah, okay, I'm actually 5'9", not 5'11", but this woman is about to meet an amazing guy. And that's what can happen, by the way. A lot of women, if they are attracted to you and they like you based off of beyond your looks, but your personality, then at that point, you are you're giving this woman this amazing opportunity to meet this amazing guy, and she wins. because I tell women too, not that I give dating advice to women, but I tell them like, listen, I get it. You want a tall guy. I'm not going to, even though I kind of did, but I'm not going to really call you superficial for that because I get it. That's just in your nature. You want a guy who's taller. So I get it that you might want a guy who is, if you're, let's say you're a woman, you're 5'3", and you go, I want a guy who's 6 feet. It's like, come on. I get it. You want a guy who's taller than you. Do you know how many men are available who are 5'5" and up, who are still going to be taller than you, who are going to be an awesome guy? Or you can just be a woman who's going for the 6 feet and up chads who know that they can just have sex with you and then leave you on red. And you're actually going to be getting a whole different type of man who you actually might not want to be with. You might actually have such a better life and a relationship with that guy who's 5'8". And guess what? You still win. He's still taller than you. You're all good. And you got this amazing guy. So that's my long-winded answer of why I think guys should lie in the dating apps in terms of their height.
Any other stuff you would recommend lying? Degrees, stuff like that?
No,
Education?
because that's kind of a big deal. I wouldn't lie. Here's a lie by omission. I tell guys, if you have kids, don't post the kids. Don't post your kids on your dating app. Is there another one I'm thinking of? I think that's really it. That's it.
Don't have all group pictures.
Yeah, but that's not like really a lie. But yes, I also say that. No group pictures, but none with kids. I'll tell you why. Because again, it all comes back to my theory on volume. If you show a picture of you and your kids, then you're going to get all these women who go, I don't want to be with a guy who has kids. Mm-hmm. So you're not lying. You're just omitting it. Now, on the first date, you are going to tell them that you have kids because that would be kind of ridiculous. That's a very big part of your life. It's a weird thing not to learn on a first date. But it's not like you show up and you go, hey, what's going on? I'm Tripp. By the way, I have 2 kids. No, you're going to bring it up on the date, but get them to like you a little bit. Build that attraction. Because a woman still, again, this is as much as for women as it is for men. A guy having a kid, why is that a big deal? What if you meet this amazing guy who you can be with, who's incredible, who's going to be the best person for you in a relationship, but he does happen to have a couple kids? So why not the guy give a chance to kind of build some attraction first, and then she can decide. And if it's that much of a deal breaker, then she doesn't have to see him again, but at least have a shot at it. So, I'm trying to get guys more hits at bat, more shots. Anything else, I don't believe. So in terms of lying, like if you're bald, don't wear hats, don't wear sunglasses. Like you really should show yourself on a dating app. Body shots, head shots, all that clear, good resolution. Everything else should be 100% true.
Yeah. Any girls listening, they should know that if it's just close-ups, we're not matching you.
Yeah, that is.
I wonder how many really in good shape close-up girls are out there that just don't realize that everyone's getting put off because they only put close-ups on.
Yeah, close-ups are not. What's funny? And the funny thing is girls can still do that. They'll still get plenty of matches. They'll still get plenty of matches. It's dating apps are. Women will disagree with me and hate me for saying this, but dating apps are fantastic for women.
Yeah.
Women disagree. They think it's terrible. Oh, how do I know if I'm finding the right guy? Yeah, well, how does a guy know he's finding the right girl? We're still doing the same thing here. We're all trying to find the best person. But at least as a woman, you get more opportunities. As a man, it's like, oh my God, I gotta pay for the apps. I gotta get great picture. You gotta put a lot of work into it and money into it. Constant rejection. It's a lot. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying how it is. Men have to do a significant amount more work. And that's just how it is. So yeah, I'm trying to get guys that advantage.
So one of the things we were touching on just before, so we were talking about, holding some stuff back. So, the kids, not advertising, give them a chance. and that made me think about Instagram. So I've found, if we go back to our like marketing funnel analogy, it used to be quite a good thing to like connect on Instagram. It's kind of like, oh, they can see a little bit about you, and then you end up going on a date. And then I've noticed just recently, if they go from dating app to my Instagram, they end up in this like nether world of just no man's land where they continue to follow me and like my stories, but nothing ever happens. We never go on a date. And it's weird. Like, I've just got all these girls that you've kind of got this clear, like, mini attraction with, but nothing's happening. I'm like, what's the fucking point in these relationships? Like, these people that I have on my Instagram. I mean, obviously, that's not really a question. It was more of a statement. But like, what are your thoughts on that? And if they say, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" because they want to kind of check you out as well, but you want to kind of hold some mystery because as soon as they're on Instagram, like 'cause as well, my Instagram's like I've got all sorts of shit on there. I've got professional stuff. I've got whatever pictures of me looking fat. I don't know, like all sorts.
If you're giving your Instagram away, first of all, women rarely do that up front. It does happen, but it is rare. So if you're telling me that it's happening to you, Jason, that's telling me that you're having very long conversations with these women, whether it's on the app or maybe you're texting now, and you've given them a moment to even think about looking at your Instagram. First of all, don't connect your Instagram to your dating profile because you're giving more opportunities for them to reject you. Because your best photo is your how do I say this?
Yeah.
You're only as attractive as your least worst.
Yes.
You're only as
Your
attractive
least
as your
attractive.
worst looking photo. Yes.
Yeah. I can't
And
connect to my Instagram anyways. I can never fucking do it. Side note.
that's for the best. Yeah, you want to be filtering for women who have a high level of interest, and the way to do that is you get them off the apps relatively fast, and then you move to a date. And any woman who's not willing to do that, you can just be done with. If they start looking at your Instagram, they want Instagram, and you should be asking them out. Before you even give an Instagram, you should be asking them out. And if it does come to the point where she's so upfront and wants to see your Instagram fast, first of all, that's a yellow flag. Why is she so obsessed with seeing that? Just meet up with the person. Let's do a FaceTime. If she doesn't want to waste her time, then do a FaceTime. I would even say that's one line. I just came up with it right now. She's like, let me see your Instagram. Say, I'll tell you what. I'll do even better. Let's do a FaceTime so you can really see what I look like. If she doesn't agree to that, I would be done.
Yeah, it's a good
Sounds
point.
like an immature person.
Yeah, I literally had this recently. It was kind of we're like chatting like a couple of days, and I was like, "You seem great. Here's my number." And she was like, "Can I WhatsApp you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" And I was just like, and I just put it. And then ever since then, we're kind of just like, we can chat on Instagram, but like nothing's happening. She's probably like scrolled right down since I'm like, meh. And like you say, unless your profile is totally polished with the level that your Tinder
Yeah,
profile
it better
is.
be pretty damn good. And it's a lot of work to do that. And so I just don't know how realistic or sustainable it is to tell guys to start redoing their whole Instagram profile when you can easily just get results without doing that. I'm all about putting in work where work is necessary, but you'll get plenty of dates if you put more work into your dating profile and money into your dating profile. You'll get more leverage that way. Unless there is another route. If you want to be a guy who's trying to use Instagram as a dating app, which people do, where you're messaging people and you're trying to do that way, and you want to put a lot of work into your Instagram profile, by all means, you could do that. I still think dating app is going to net you more dates because Instagram more than half of these women don't even see the messages. So you could be messaging women. Doesn't matter how good your profile is. They might not see it because they are buried with messages from other guys. When, yeah, they're buried on dating apps too, but you're getting put in front of them on a dating app.
I
You're
feel
not
like the
getting put in front of them on
Instagram
Instagram.
the Instagram game is a top 1% club. I
Yeah,
get the
it's just not
feeling.
sustainable for your average
Yeah.
guy. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. So dating apps is, I would stick to that in approaching in social circle, and you'll just get better results, faster results too.
Mm. What are the longest levers, the 80-20, when we're optimizing our profiles?
So the 80-20 for that is you want to get professional photos. So actual photos being done, which for any guys who are thinking that sounds ridiculous or kind of like that sounds weird, sounds cheesy. The way professional photos are done now, yeah, they look perfect. We all kind of have good photos now. You're not going to stand out that much. We've done this before. I've done this. My clients have done this. I maybe have heard twice, two occasions out of hundreds where a woman said, like, what are these professional photos? You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to matter. And that is so big because you're going to get great photos. You're going to get your best angles. You're going to get clear photos. And that's the number one thing. The number one thing. For prompts in bio, just be more specific. If you're too generic, it sounds a little boring. Like, oh, I love the outdoors. Like, that's a little boring. But what do you love about the outdoors? Can you say, like, oh, I love sunrise hikes? You know, that's a little bit more interesting. So, where can you be just a little bit more specific? Do that. Get professional photos. Don't go cheap on professional photos. Spend as much as you're willing to invest in that, and you'll be rocking. And the inch or two to add to your height. Those three things and you're gold.
What about the video? What about videos? Putting videos on.
It's a little bit of a newer thing, so I don't have much advice on that. I also think that you might, unless you look really good on video and you present well on video. I don't know how many guys have that. You might be doing something that might turn her off. So don't give her too many opportunities to do that. So if you're not sure, I would stay away from videos. I would stay away from the snippets of audio. Unless you're like this funny person or you're very charismatic already, then sure, use it to your advantage if it works. But if you're just unsure, just don't do it. Because dating apps and profiles are still completely normal to just have photos. I don't know. And this might change. Maybe in a couple of years, it's going to be like, no, it's all video now. Like photos are old school and it's all about video. Then we can chat. But for now, it's not. So,
do you like recommend like doing any form of like split testing, like swapping things out and like noticing? Because the reason I asked and the reason I brought the video thing, so my profile's been fairly like the same for quite a while, and the story that it told was like, guy does high rocks, gym, disciplined, ice baths, sober, podcaster. That was kind of the story, and I was like, why aren't I getting any matches? Like, I think like I'm fucking crushing it, blah blah. And then the other week, but I don't have much fun. The other week, I went to a gig with a friend. We went to this like late club night thing at this like really grimy place, and my mate took a video of me just like stood there nodding my head to this like dub reggae music in this dingy place. Anyhow, I uploaded the video to my profile, and it's a bit like a boomerang. It kind of just, it's like 2 seconds. My matches just soared. And
Awesome.
it was so interesting. I was like, oh, he does the high rocks. He does, he's doing it. He crushes it. He's doing the work. He's doing his podcast, and he has fun.
It rounded you out a little bit, or a lot of it,
Yeah.
we should say. Yeah.
So it would just sort of really hit home for me, like kind of like that whole thing of where can they see themselves fitting in? Because like, yeah, if you're all work and no play, then was it makes Jack a
Dull boy.
boring Tinder match?
Right. Yeah, absolutely split test. I would say don't worry about it in the beginning. Just make those tweaks and see what happens. If you're unhappy with the amount of matches that you're getting, then start to make changes. Change the order of the photos. Try to do one thing at a time. That's what a good split test is, or else you won't know what worked. So change the main profile picture. Keep changing that. See if that does anything. That doesn't do anything. Start changing your prompts a little bit. Start working on, well, that's really it. Your bio, your profile. And if it's still not good, well, hire a coach. But you might not know what's going on. So you might just need to keep getting new photos, keep testing things out. But that's where I do honestly recommend, if you're trying all this stuff on your own and it's not working out, just go to someone who has a lot of experience in this and work with someone so you can stop guessing and you can figure out exactly what's going on. Because I bet you, Jason, maybe we would have been able to see that. It's so cool that you figured it out on your own, but maybe you would have been able to, get with a coach who would have been like, yeah, we understand why this is not working. It's really intense. You don't look like you're having any fun. There's no kind of silly fun pictures, and you're just making too narrow of a pool of women. You're only going to be attracting those women who are like super into all that. I don't know. I'm just saying. So it's good to get a viewpoint. Here's what you shouldn't do, guys. Sorry, ladies, if you're listening. Don't get a female opinion. Just don't do it, because what they say is not how they're actually going to respond. I'm not saying that they're always going to be wrong, but there is a disconnect where they might say to you, oh, you should do this. And in theory, they think it's going to work. They're not lying to you, but it's actually not what they're going to swipe on. For example, I think the jury's out on shirtless pics and abs. I think a lot of women say that they don't like it and cringe at it, but if they actually see it, and the rest of the profile is pretty good, they're going to be okay with it. That's just an example. I'm not saying guys should have shirtless pics or anything, but I am saying that what a woman says is not often what she responds to. It's like the idea of, if I ask a woman, like, what's really attractive in a guy? He should be nice. He should court me. He should be super sweet. I hope he's really close with his parents, blah, 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 blah. All great things. But what really attracts that woman? Why is it she says that, but then all these women are, and this is going to be an extreme example, but all these women are obsessed and write letters to men who were in jail. Have you heard of this? It's a phenomenon.
I think I've heard it somewhere before.
Yeah,
It doesn't
like
surprise
men on
me.
death row are like
Wow.
have women like obsessed with them. Again, that's a really extreme example. My point is that, well, they're actually a little bit more attracted to the bad boy, aren't they? The guy who's a little bit arrogant, who's a little bit of an asshole, who's a little bit more confident than he should be. I'm not saying to the extreme, although as we have seen, the extreme still does work. So how a woman describes what she's attracted to might not be what she responds to. And, it's just a PC culture. You ask a guy the same thing. The woman asks like, oh, how can I get more guys? You might have an answer. And I bet you, Jason, you have an answer too. It would be uncomfortable for you to say on this podcast episode of like what would really work for a woman to get us attracted. So sometimes you just need to talk to people in private who just coach this stuff, and we'll tell you what to do.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Robert Glover, Dr. Robert Glover?
Yeah, I've interviewed him on my podcast.
Yeah, I had him on a few weeks ago. So we got into all this stuff in
Cool.
terms of what gets women going and what they actually say that they're attracted to.
Yep.
Um, I know we've got to wrap up soon, so I thought I would go with like the most high leverage slash fun stuff. So I took some screenshots earlier of my DMs, and I thought I'd embarrass myself. I've gone through all the people who didn't reply, and I know some of them. I'm like, yeah, that was stupid, but I want to go through it, and you can say, oh yeah, unlucky, or where I went wrong.
Okay. Great.
Deal.
Let's do it.
Okay. Um, Iona, she had one of her interests was Escape Cafe. I said, "What's Escape Cafe?" Nothing.
Oh man. I'd say it's probably a combo of both, but mostly you did something wrong. When
Mm.
someone, you better have a really damn good profile. When you don't know it's something, how much more powerful would it be if you said the opposite? Let's say you did know what Escape Cafe is, and you're like, I go to Escape Cafe once a month. What's going to be better, right?
Yeah. It
So
was a
I'm
totally
not saying you
lazy.
should. Yeah, it's late. It's also a lot of work. It's like, okay, imagine you're a guy, and this is how women are, right? Imagine you're a guy and you're getting tons of matches. You're just overloaded, and some girl is like, "What's Escape Cafe?" And that's something that you're like, I just want to just go to the next person. I don't want to sit here and explain this.
Yeah, fuck that girl. Like, I know that's I'm fucking me. Fuck him. Fuck me. I hate that. Boring. See, I get it
Yeah,
now.
it's not as
Yeah.
interesting. It's more work. Yeah.
I think sometimes though, like sometimes I'm definitely lazy. I'm just like, oh, just throw some at the wall, see if it sticks. Like you say, volume. Okay, this one's shocking. So she had this is like my weird neurodivergence as well. So she had in her profile that she was a carnivore, but there's an
Okay.
option for omnivore. So I said, like your tats. Sorry, not tits in Scottish. Like your tattoos, like your tats. I'm going to presume you're an omnivore. By the way, nothing.
Okay, so what you did is like the way I would read that is you're like calling her out.
Yeah, I'm kind of stupid, aren't I?
Yeah, kind of. Just like you're calling her out of like, well, huh? Like almost like she might not even understand what you're saying. Like, what? Or why are you calling me out on that? Yeah, I would say that's a mistake.
Mm, I agree.
By the way, we're only gonna. Does it say seen? I don't think it does, right? You don't even know if they saw it for
Oh, I
real.
don't know. I get
Yeah.
two ticks.
So so sometimes, I could be giving you advice here and commenting, but maybe it could have potentially worked. She just never saw it. But if I had to
Yeah,
say, I unfortunately don't like any of those so far.
yeah. I like. Obviously, I've only picked out the bad ones.
Good.
um,
More fun.
Derry, I said congratulations. She said nothing.
Congratulations.
I didn't even know. I don't even know what my fault. I think sometimes I'm just like, right, I'm just going to say something, and then I'll improvise.
You know what's funny? I actually don't hate that one.
Yeah, I think I
But
was going to say
also, it
something
doesn't go anywhere.
like,
She's going to go, why?
yeah.
And
I
then you're
think
going
I
to have
was
to
going to
come up with
say,
something funny.
I think I was going to say something like you're the cutest person to land in my Tinder today. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, no good.
Maybe not. um, okay,
Or
Ellen.
you could have said, here's the way I
Okay,
teach guys.
all right,
Okay. I'm
all
not
right,
saying this is going to work. I just want to show you the mindset of attraction. So
yeah.
you're saying you would have said maybe, congratulations, you're the most attractive person, blah, 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 blah. Where you're just like, I like you, I like you, I like you, you're cute. That's
Fucking
what
needy.
you're sub communicating.
Yeah.
Or you could have said, congratulations. And she says, why? Because you're so lucky to have matched with the best guy today. I don't know. I'm coming up with this,
Mm,
on the spot. And I don't think that would have worked. But that has a better chance of working than "you're so cute, here's a compliment," blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you're so
Just
right.
like it's called. I didn't make this up. It's an old pickup technique. It's called cocky funny, where you're being cocky and arrogant, but you're doing it in a joking manner, and it actually works. Here's the thing, too, is like, if you were to explain this to a woman, a lot of them would say that wouldn't work on me, because in the moment, the way you're explaining it, it's not going to sound very attractive to a woman. But in reality, when you are a little bit cocky funny in the moment, and a guy is doing that and he does it right, it does work. And it does attract women, because it's the opposite. She doesn't want the other guy. She doesn't want the guy who's like self-deprecating. That's even worse.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think, okay, so when we're going into it with the cocky guy mentality, do we need to believe it? Or can we just use that as a tool? Or is it a
It'd be
mindset shift
better
as
if
well?
you believed it. But if you want to use it as a tool, sometimes it's fake it till you make it.
Okay, I'm going to do one last one just because it'll embarrass me a little bit. It might be funny. And then, so Janice said in her profile, not proficient in Microsoft Excel. So I said, what about Google Sheets?
Okay, that's actually really funny.
So she said, I couldn't even tell you what they are, man. And I said, and this is where I lost it, it's Google's free cloud-based version of Microsoft Office / Excel. And then I said, I could cheat you after I've fed you.
Oh my God. Okay, so I had a feeling that maybe you were going to get a response from that, because I think that was great. The first part was great. What about Google? That's funny. Then here's what I would have said instead. So what was her response? I don't even know what that is, man.
I couldn't even tell you what that is, man.
I would have said, ha ha, and then just changed the topic. I would have said, ha ha, any travel plans coming up?
Okay. Straight in there.
Yep.
Okay.
We're done. We're done with Google Sheet. We're done with that joke. It's done. You made the joke. Now we're moving to a new topic. Something, a question that's really easy to answer.
Yeah.
That might have worked.
All right. So before we go, talk me through. Let's do some hot takes. Give me 4 generic openers
for online.
Two of each.
Okay. Any travel plans coming up is one I like to use. And then the next one is just commenting on any thing that not their looks, but their prompts. So anything, asking them something. I don't have like, I have one generic one that I just gave you, any travel plans coming up, but the next one's more like just principle. Like, think about the principle behind it is commenting and asking a question that's easy for her to answer. Not what's Escape Cafe. That's not easy to answer. That's going to be like, well, Escape Cafe is a blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? If she's like, here's an example of an easy question to ask. I don't know, a picture of her like at a pumpkin patch or something. And you can say, what's your favorite size pumpkin to buy? Easy question to answer. Right? So something easy, because it doesn't, here's the other thing. I'm always so long-winded with my answers, but I want to help guys out who are listening. You don't have to be amazing at the verbiage. Just don't do anything that sounds stupid and let your pictures take care of the rest. Okay. For opening in person, you could just do, it's kind of the same opener, just different variations. Hey, 2 seconds. I wanted to come over and meet you. And then you say, where are you from?
Hey, 2 seconds. I wanted to come over and meet you. Right.
Yeah. Next one would be, again, this is more principle, a situational opener. Something's going on that you can comment on that's happening. You can go and approach her. I just came up with one recently where if you're in the grocery store you'd have to have an avocado or a piece of fruit on you. I don't know. Maybe you go to the grocery store and you just quickly pick that up. So if you see a cute girl, you can say, hey, what's your best method for finding the most ripe avocado?
Mm.
And then just take it from there. It's not funny. It's not clever pickup line. It's just trying to start a conversation. Because guess what? It's a pretty easy question to answer, isn't it? She goes, or it's not. I don't know. She doesn't eat avocados or blah. It doesn't even matter what she says. You just get in there, you start talking. She knows you're kind of there to hit on her, which I like. I want that. Right? She knows that you're not just trying to figure that question out. You're there to flirt.
Mm. All right, and because I do have some women in my audience, if they've managed to, whether they're listening to this or not today, but one piece of advice for the women out there.
For the women out there, give more guys a shot that you wouldn't. If you are dating and you're realizing that it's not working for you, don't blame men. All the men suck out there. All the men are bad. Look back at yourself and go, what can I change differently? Should I be going for a guy who maybe is not the most richest person in the world, who isn't the tallest person in the world? Give more guys a shot, and you'll end up actually finding a great guy through that new way of filtering.
Mm. All right, man. Well, thank you for this. We'll start to wrap up. Do you have any plans like for 2025? Anything we can expect from you?
Yeah, I mean, even at the end of 2024, we're doing these boot camps right now. So we have coaches who are taking guys out in Miami and helping them with approaching women and getting over their shyness. So we're doing that at the end of December and then in February. And we plan to launch a lot more of those. So if you're a guy who's looking to get help with approaching women, then you can go to trippadvice.com/live training. Either way, if you go to that website, you'll talk to my team, you'll book a call, and you'll learn about all of our coaching options. We have virtual coaching options and in-person stuff, but we definitely want to push out more of that because not a lot of companies are offering that service, and we want to be able to offer that to guys because it's really quite life-changing when you can get a coach to help you actually out there in IRL, as they say.
Oh, that's awesome. If I was over that way, I would definitely join you. I'm starting. Hopefully, this is going to be a tradition on the podcast, but you're going to be my first. So, see what you think of this.
Okay.
Before we wrap up, I'd like you to share 2 reflective questions. The first is for you personally. What's one question you need to ask yourself as you start the day? The second is for my audience or your audience. What's one question or prompt you think they should consider to bring the most value out of their day?
Pretty generic one, but I ask myself, I don't do it every day. I probably should, but I'll ask myself, what's the one thing I can do today that by the end of the day, I'll go, that was a good day. Even if everything else goes wrong. Like, what's one thing I can accomplish today?
Mm.
So I would say that.
And would you say, and one for the audience, would you say the same, or you got anything different?
I would say the same, but let me just think for a quick second. I want to go bigger than just maybe a day, more like what's happening in your life. But here's a question you could ask yourself to help you put yourself outside of the victim mindset. You can say, if you're having a lot of issues in your life, you can ask yourself, am I really unlucky? Or is there something that I can actually do about this? So that might not be for everybody or for every situation, but for those people who are really struggling, you can ask yourself that.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Both of them are useful. Thank you, mate. This has been great. You've given us the website. Have you got socials? What's your socials?
Yeah, so I'll give you one more website just because the other one's a little bit along with trippadvicecoaching.com with 2 P's, trippadvicecoaching.com. And then any social is just Tripp Advice. So everywhere, YouTube, TikTok, podcast, not my podcast, Instagram, all Tripp Advice. Also, I do have a podcast called How to Talk to Girls. So you won't find it under Tripp Advice. It's called How to Talk to Girls. Been doing it since 2015, and it is 800 something episodes all about dating advice and helping men with attracting more women. So if you need help, trippadvicecoaching.com. If you want to listen to a podcast, because you might be a podcast listener, How to Talk to Girls. And my socials are all Tripp Advice.
That's awesome. And we'll link everything up in the show notes as per. All right, mate. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, wherever you're up to. And I hope to speak to you again soon.
Awesome, man. Take care. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, it's me. Thank you so much for watching that episode, and congratulations for making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. A few things before you get going. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you enjoyed this episode, the kindest thing you can do for me is to share it with a friend or family member. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to both my guests and myself. And if you made it this far, why don't you drop me a DM?